Across the arid and semi-arid plains of Saudi Arabia, where emerald oases shimmer like miracles in the desert, a quiet war is being fought. The enemy here isn't sandstorms or drought, it's the wild boar, a resilient invader pushing deeper into the wadis, the farms, and the fringes of human life. They tear through crops, uproot irrigation lines, and foul the scarce sources of water, leaving behind a landscape even more fragile than before. And now one question echoes across the dunes. Who will stand between the oasis and the invasion? Who will defend these rare lifelines in the heart of the desert? Here, controlling the wild boar is not just an ecological duty. It's a delicate matter of culture and faith. In Islam, the boar is considered haram, forbidden, which means hunting. It isn't a sport, it's a mission of responsibility. A wildlife management effort that demands precision, understanding, and strategy. Famigo Farm stands alongside those on the front lines, farmers, rangers, and local communities, to tell their story. The fight to protect life in the desert. Wild boars are notorious for their rooting behavior, using their powerful snouts to dig for food. But in the fragile, arid soils of the Arabian Peninsula, that simple act does more than disturb the ground. It drains the very lifeblood of the oasis. In Al Asa, where date palm groves survive thanks to an intricate network of underground irrigation, a single herd's intrusion can leave devastation in its wake. Soil overturned, roots exposed, pipes shattered, and clean water, precious as gold, silently lost beneath the sand. In the wadis and the Azir highlands, where the topsoil is as thin as a veil over stone, one heavy rain after such disturbance is enough to wash it all away, leaving the land bare, stripped of its power to heal. And this isn't just Saudi Arabia's problem. In the United States, wild boars cause an estimated $1.5 to $1.6 billion in damage every year. In Sichuan, China, more than 7,000 incidents are reported annually, costing over $115 million. Across Tunisia and Iran, oases face the same fate: soil erosion, crop failure, and dwindling water supplies. When the ground itself is weakened, everything built upon it begins to crumble. Control, then, is no longer a choice. It's a necessity. And when we step back to see the larger picture, one truth becomes clear. Wherever there is fertile land, clean water, and a community that lives by the soil, the wild boar emerges as the same relentless threat. This concern is far from unfamiliar to American farmers. In Texas, Alabama, and Florida, wild hogs have long been the enemy of the harvest. And now, deep in the Middle East, the same story unfolds. Only here, water is as precious as gold. But the damage goes far beyond soil and crops. As herds move closer to villages and grazing lands, new risks emerge. Health risks. Wild boars are carriers of brucellosis, leptospirosis, pseudorabies, and a range of dangerous parasites. In some parts of the Middle East, infection rates have been recorded as high as 27 to 40%. A single infected herd can spread disease across entire grazing zones, inflicting reproductive losses and veterinary costs that far exceed crop damage. And there's another layer of sensitivity: faith. In Islam, the boar is considered unclean, untouchable. That means every step of control must follow strict procedures. No use for food, no contamination of the environment, and absolute respect for religious boundaries. Here, control isn't just about saving crops. It's about safeguarding culture, faith, and public health. It's this intersection between biological threat and spiritual restraint that makes the fight against wild boars in Saudi Arabia unlike any other. Here, wildlife control becomes more than a conservation effort. It's a mission to protect both public health and the deep cultural and religious identity that has endured for centuries. But while faith and public health make control a necessity, the biology of the wild boar makes it an even greater challenge. A single sow can produce 2 litters a year, each with 4 to 12 piglets, and those young reach breeding age in just 6 to 10 months. From only a handful of animals, a population can explode into the hundreds within 2 or 3 years. They roam far, learn fast, and adapt their routes and hours to evade human presence. In Saudi Arabia, reports show that wild boars have shifted to deep nocturnal behavior as pressure from control efforts increases. This is an opponent that observes, adapts, and fights back. They don't just breed fast, they adapt to almost every kind of terrain. From the humid mountain forests of the southwest to the thorny scrublands along the desert's edge, even to the outskirts of villages, the wild boar learns to survive anywhere. They travel far, feed on household waste, and shift their routes with the seasons. And above all, they learn quickly. Hunters across Saudi Arabia have observed the same pattern. After only a few encounters, the herds change their routines, moving under deeper cover of night, avoiding routes touched by human scent, steering clear of old ambush sites. They can recognize traps, detect human presence, and remember danger for months. That's why confronting them isn't a matter of force or numbers, but of knowledge, experience, and strategy. The kind passed down through generations who have learned how to read the desert and live in rhythm with it. Facing a creature that breeds fast, adapts fiercely, and senses danger long before it arrives, Saudi Arabia's control teams have learned to rely not on advanced technology, but on tradition. Here, there are no thermal scopes, no drones circling in the night skies as in America. Instead, hunters track by signs, terrain, and the quiet language of coordination between man and dog, guided by wisdom passed down through generations who've lived and fought beside the desert's edge. The pursuit often begins at dawn or late afternoon, when wild boars move between feeding grounds and precious water sources, or when they return to shaded ravines to escape the burning heat. Dry valleys and narrow wadis thick with scrub become their strongholds, forcing hunters to follow scent and sound rather than sight. In this battle, the dogs are the hunter's eyes and ears, tracing what humans cannot see or hear, every faint odor, every tremor in the dust. And in this unforgiving land, oases and waterholes serve as perfect ambush points. Because no matter how cautious or cunning the wild boar becomes, it must always return to water, the lifeblood of the desert. To understand their roots, their cycles, their instincts, that is the key to every successful campaign.
Bekle orada Mehmet, gelme.
That's why every control mission begins with understanding where they move, where they rest, and where they must return to survive. In the dry wadis and dense scrublands of Saudi Arabia, spotting and approaching wild boars is never simple. Visibility is limited, and the terrain itself hides movement with deceptive ease. In this environment, the dogs become indispensable. When a herd shelters deep within the thickets, it's the dogs who make first contact, testing the herd's reaction, then driving them from cover into the open ground that has already been mapped and chosen. Only then do the hunters take their positions. They maintain safe distance, study direction and wind, and wait for the precise moment to act, the moment that ensures control while minimizing risk. Here, The firearm is not a symbol of power, but a tool of precision, meant to end the pursuit swiftly and cleanly, sparing both man and dog from harm. It's a choreography built on discipline, where every being, human and canine alike, fulfills a role with quiet focus, patience, and an intimate understanding of the desert's rhythm. When the herd is finally forced into the open, that's when a hunter's discipline and precision become decisive. In the dry valleys of Saudi Arabia, where every mistake carries risk, the rifle is treated not as a weapon, but as a professional instrument. Its purpose is to bring a swift, humane end to the pursuit, ensuring safety for both the hunter and the dogs. Large caliber rifles are the tools of choice, calibers that deliver accuracy and stopping power from a safe distance. Among them, the .308 Winchester remains a reliable standard for mid-range stability. The .30-06 Springfield, trusted by generations of traditional hunters. The .300 Winchester Magnum, chosen for its reach in open terrain. And the .45-70 Government, favored when close encounters demand decisive stopping force. Each shot in the field is the result of patience, calculation, and control, never impulse. Hunters wait until the dogs have driven the boars from the brush, until the target stands clear and still, often in the soft light of dawn or dusk. In that moment, the trigger pull is not an act of display, but a deliberate decision made for safety, humanity, and ecological responsibility. A reminder that in these fragile oases, every controlled shot is a defense of life itself and of the balance that allows it to endure. Each control operation is but a fragment of a far greater effort, a continuous cycle of tracking, assessing, approaching, and acting. There is no final victory here. The herds can rebuild within just a few seasons, forcing humans to remain ever vigilant, maintaining control with rhythm, patience, and careful planning. This task demands not only skill, but also a deep understanding of the desert's fragile ecosystem. And it is here that the true meaning of wild boar control reveals itself. It is not a conquest of nature, but a commitment to balance between people, the land, and the water that sustains them all. But even the most effective control campaigns cannot stand alone. This fight is also defined by how people manage the environments they live in. Alongside direct tracking and removal efforts, community and habitat management plays an equally vital role. Across many agricultural zones along the desert's edge, farmers and local authorities are working to reduce what draws wild boars in, securing organic waste areas, shielding livestock feed stores, and protecting clean water sources that often become irresistible to herds during the dry months. These actions extend beyond individual farms. In many regions, neighboring communities now coordinate to prevent the animals from being driven out of one area only to invade another. Shared reporting, footprint mapping, and regular field surveys help build a living record of herd movements over time, allowing control teams to act with precision rather than react in crisis. On a broader scale, this collaboration forms a community network, a system where local knowledge, on-the-ground observation, and policy come together as one unified effort. It's not just about stopping the invasion, it's about learning to manage the balance between survival, land, and life itself. From tracking through dry mountain ravines to managing water sources, securing waste, and coordinating between farms, every action serves a single purpose: to keep the oases, the lifelines of human existence in the desert, from being overrun by a species whose reproduction and adaptability seem without limit. This is not a battle won by overwhelming force or advanced technology, but by knowledge, discipline, and persistence, the quiet strength of local communities who refuse to yield. And within that steady repetition, one can see the delicate relationship between humanity and the land, a balance where every decision carries the weight of the future. Each effort, from a hunter's footprint to a farmer's fence line, becomes a thread in the fragile fabric that holds life together in the desert. In a land where the desert can swallow every trace of life, the oasis stands as a quiet reminder. that balance is the most precious thing of all. The wild boar is not merely an invader, it is a reflection of an ecosystem in constant motion, where every species struggles to survive in its own way. And humanity, through responsibility and understanding, becomes the guardian of that fragile order. Famigo Farm tells this story not to glorify the hunt, but to illuminate the thin line between preservation and intervention, between survival and balance. As the last light of day stretches across the stone valleys and the final footprints fade into the sand, we come to understand this fight will never truly end, and it doesn't need to. What matters is that life continues to have a chance. One more oasis, protected. One more season, preserved.
We'll get it done.
And the story
Awesome.
goes on.